Despite many good reasons, Californians have to relocate to Salt Lake City, Utah. Many of them regret it. And in this video, we're going to talk about why. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Greg Spackman. I'm with the Living in Salt Lake City channel. If you want to learn everything about what it's like to live here, eat here, sleep here, even play here in the Salt Lake City area, then click the subscribe button and the bell to be notified every time I do new videos. Lately, I've been getting a ton of people that are just like you that are reaching out to me, calling me, texting me, emailing me about making that move here to Salt Lake City, and they want to know more about it. So if that's you, please reach out to me. So on to the video. So we're talking about why Californians that are regretting moving to the Salt Lake City area or moving to Utah in masses, and due to the lower taxes and a slower pace of life here in Utah, and some to get out of the political things that California has, which are, depending upon which way you are, could be a good thing or a bad thing. But many people have a good reason for wanting to move to Salt Lake City, Utah. There are a number of cool things that are here in Utah, like the University of Utah. So if you want to go to a really good college, or you have children that want to go to a great college, they also have a really good football team typically, although this year they weren't so great, but their quarterback, I think, was out all year. You can actually get tickets and go to the football game. If you love the NBA, you're a huge basketball fan, then you have the Utah Jazz, and typically they're a pretty decent team. I remember years ago when I was a kid watching Karl Malone and John Stockton play, and they were a really good team. I don't think they ever won the championship, but if they did, you could comment below and let me know. But they're a huge deal here, really big here. So many people are fans. Even my kids have sweatshirts and t-shirts for the Utah Jazz. If you like baseball, you're going to have to watch the AAA baseball team for the Angels, and that's the Salt Lake City Bees, and they are moving from the Salt Lake City area over to South Jordan, which for me will be a really cool thing. It'll be about 10 minutes away, so we'll be able to go to more games, and then it'll have a nice new stadium, although the Bees stadium is pretty nice. We went to a game. Everything else was good, just location not so great. You have an MLS soccer team that you can go to that's in Sandy, Utah, and we even have a rugby team that you can go watch. So we went and watched a rugby match this summer. Awesome. Super cool to go watch rugby. Completely different set of rules than like football and everything. So it was interesting to watch for sure. I also want to mention that they have a Utah Grizzlies, which is an ECHL hockey team. So if you're an ice hockey team or an ice hockey fan like myself, then you can go watch a game there. And they are working on bringing an MLB baseball team here, either a relocation or an expansion team. And then they want to bring an NHL team here to the Salt Lake City area. I guess when we get the Winter Olympics, I think in 2030, they want to have a new arena built that they can use for hockey. And I'm sure that maybe they'll do the NBA team there as well. So we might actually see that happen. The number one complaint that I'm getting from Californians about regretting moving to Utah is they thought that the cost of housing would be much cheaper than they had in California. And well, it is cheaper depending upon where you're coming from in California. The cost of living in Salt Lake City has gone up and up with more and more people moving here, and then COVID and everything else. And that's just driven our home prices up here in the Salt Lake City area. And well, the median home price here in Salt Lake City is right around $559,000. So depending upon what you're going to make on your home, that may be a good thing or it might be a bad thing. But prices are still going up here in the Salt Lake City area. There are less and less homes being listed, and that's mainly due to the high interest rates. Who wants to really trade their 3 to 4% rate that they currently have for a 7% rate? So, we do have people that move here every single day because of a job transfer, or they want to move out of state, or they need a bigger house, or they need a smaller house. So there are homes listed for sale, lots of different choices. Some of the homes will sit a little bit longer than others. Back when we were during the COVID times, homes will just fly off the shelves. Now the homes that are really nice are still selling really quickly. We're selling them, within a week, a home will sell, sometimes even the same day if it's in a desirable area and the style and everything about the home is really, really nice. So the, I guess, not so desirable homes or the locations of homes, those homes are going to sit longer. So that brings up our, days on market a little bit, because even the least desirable homes would sell within 48 hours prior. But prices are pretty expensive in most cities around Salt Lake City. You really need to go about 30 minutes to an hour out to find the least expensive homes. There are some areas, though, where the home prices are pretty good. So you just got to reach out to me, and then I can help you with those areas. Reason number 2 that Californians are regretting moving to the Salt Lake City area is the weather. And so they're just not really used to the cold winters that we get and snow. So just dealing with driving with the snow and getting the snow off your porch, shoveling it, shoveling your driveway, salting everything that you need to salt, and everything else that goes along with that. And then just the day or two a year where you can't really drive well because of the snow. For the most part, you can get around with a 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive vehicle. I typically recommend that anyone moving here have at least one vehicle that's all-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive. That way, you're not stuck at any particular time. Summertime, it's a little bit warmer than California, but it's very similar. The weather-wise, as far as humidity and stuff, feels the same. You get really nice evenings once the sun starts to set and it's 80, 90 degrees outside. You can just relax outside. When in the fall and the springtime, you can do your little fire pit area outside, and then have that for fun. One other thing about the snow is you can get snow tires for other cars, but really you only need that for maybe a couple days a year. So it's not really that advantageous to have snow tires unless you live in an area where it gets more snow. So if you're tucked up against the mountains, or you happen to live in some other mountainous town, then ignore everything about that, and you'll want 4-wheel drive and snow tires as well. When we first got here, the first snow that we got, it was amazing. We hadn't had snow in a long time like that, and so being able to make a snowball and have a snowball fight and play in the snow and make a snowman. One thing that was different about the snow here is it's really, really dry. So you have to really compact the snow to make your snowballs and stuff. It's not like other areas in the country where it's a little more humid and easier to make snowball and snowman, but you're able to do it. So that was super fun. You'll be able to do that as well. We haven't had enough snow where snow has been a big issue for me. My main concern is that it's 20 to 35 degrees more often than what I'd like. I'd like it to be a little bit warmer. Once it gets into like 35 to 45 degree range, it's fine. Then I can do a light coat and jeans and shoes, and you're fine. Reason number 3 that Californians regret moving here to Salt Lake City is the dryness. So it is really, really dry here. And I didn't think it would be as dry as it is. Well, it's dry. So you're going to need to make sure that you have lotion, and you're applying lotion to you and your kids. Chapstick, your lips get dried out really well. So you're going to need to make sure you have that. And then I drank way more water than I've ever drank in before. I want to say I drank half my body weight on most days in water. So it's not hard to do that here in Utah, because you get thirsty, I guess, more often. The number 4 thing that you should be aware of, this isn't really a regret thing, but it's just something that some people aren't liking or aren't used to, is just how friendly people are. So while that isn't a problem, it's just if you're not used to your neighbors being neighborly or people being nice, then it comes off a little bit different, and maybe you're used to, or you've grown up not being neighborly. So we had neighbors that when we moved in, they brought us like food and snacks and cookies and some cool stuff like that. That was totally awesome. I can actually have a conversation with my neighbors, and it's good that they'll actually look out for us. So like if, for instance, when I've left my garage open, they'll shoot me a text and say, hey, your garage is open, and then I can go and shut it. Or we've even had neighbors bring our trash can up to the house because I left it out and we weren't home or whatever. So just things like that are really cool. And you may not be used to that, coming from California, where most people seem to really like to just open their garage, drive their car in, and then shut the garage and then get out of their car. So that's not that way here at all. the next reason the Californians might regret moving here to Salt Lake City is that Utah is a red state. And so there's a lot of Californians here. And because California is a blue state and they're used to that, they, may not like living here because of that. And so on this channel, we're not going to really talk super in depth about politics because that's not really what my goal is here. My goal is to provide information about Utah and Salt Lake City and people wanting to make that move here. But Salt Lake City is kind of like one of the few areas in Utah that is blue. So, you got Moab that's also blue, but pretty much most of the rest of the state is red. So if that's a problem for you, then you just need to be aware of that. And that's what a lot of the people didn't know when they moved here, is how what the political landscape was going to be like, how you lean, how the state leans, all of that just goes on and on. But Salt Lake City is a little bit more progressive and way more liberal and artistic and stuff. And that's one of the great things about Salt Lake City is just the way that it's got a good mix, I think, of everything. While the rest of the area outside of Salt Lake City is going to be more red, just know that it's not really an issue depending upon which political aspect you are. And in reality, you're going to be, living near Salt Lake City, you're not going to have really a problem. Reason number 5 for regretting living in Salt Lake City is, and this kind of piggybacks on the last one, is just the people that have lived in Utah for a long time and they're just, standing on their soapbox, pumping their fists, saying that, keep your California in California. Don't California our Utah, that sort of thing. And while most of the people moving here don't bring their politics with them, some do. And so you just need to know that that could be an issue here. And if you like it where you came from, you need to keep what Utah has to offer. In California, if you ask anyone where they're from, most often the answer is they're not from California, or at least if you ask 10 people, a good amount of those 10 are going to say, oh yeah, I'm from Missouri, or I'm from New York, or I'm from Utah, or I'm from Oregon, and so on and so forth. Well, that's becoming the case here in Utah, in Salt Lake City, where, if you ask the 10 people when you meet out and about, they're going to have more and more are going to say that they are from California or Washington or Oregon or Canada, New York, or places all over the coast, or places that are getting to be too expensive. Well, they're all moving here to Utah. So, of course, I mentioned regarding traffic and crime and construction and things like that are, causing higher prices here as well. So there you have it. Hopefully we've done a good job, or a good enough job, explaining pretty much what to expect if you're coming to Salt Lake City from California, ultimately helping you arrive at your own conclusion as to whether or not it's right for you here. And even if it still, despite all those things, makes sense again for you, we are here to help you make that move to the Salt Lake City area, helping you find that perfect place. The only thing you have to do is reach out to us. So don't hesitate, whether you're 9 days or 90 days, reach out to us and the team. Shoot us a text, send us an email, send a carrier pigeon, whatever you got to do to reach out to us. We would love to hear from you and help you make that move here to the Salt Lake City area. So until next time, be rad.